There was actually a slope in the tunnel, and of course people behind us, and you get the momentum, and I was just thrown into the stadium basically. When I got into the stadium, I was facing backwards. I was facing the way that I'd come. I got myself turned on, and just as I was getting myself settled, I realised that there was people gone down. There was a couple of layers of people in front of me.
I can't even begin to think what it must have been like right behind the goal. Just beyond expression of how bad that would have been.
It very slowly closes, doesn't it? You know, and that was just what it was like.
I remember saying to this policeman that, you know, can't you do something about it?
There's a copper in the direct line with me, and I'm screaming at him for help, as other people are, and this copper just blanked us.
I didn't really see the kick-off, to be quite honest with you, because my concern was what was going on those terraces.
I tried to concentrate on the stands opposite, because I could see there was things going on, you know, around the pitch, the fence, and I didn't want to, you know, look at it for fear of, you know, of what was going on like.
I was up that end, the Leppings Lane end, and there was what I thought was a crowd invasion. And there's two guys came on that I went to and said, look, get off, because you're going to get Liverpool Football Club into trouble. And one of them just looked me straight in the eyes and said, Al, there's people dying in there.
In the end, the sky just become white and become like a tube. And the next thing I see myself in the middle, I'm looking down at myself in the middle of a perfect circle of people, and my head's lower than everybody else around me, and I can still, you know, feel the crush on me. I think what happened then is that I've hit the deck unconscious, and I think I've hit the deck in a space where there's air.
And within what seemed like a few seconds, there were people on the pitch from behind the goal, and you know, you didn't know really why.
The police inspector is on the pitch, and they've come through the barriers, and I can only think that's overcrowding. It doesn't look to me to be any sort of misbehaviour.
I saw what I now know was Victoria being passed over and handled out through the gate onto the pitch. And in that minute or couple of minutes that it took me to get, you know, across the pen and back again, lo and behold, they're almost side by side, Sarah and Victoria, on the pitch. So we picked Vicky up and we put her in the ambulance. You know, I went to the back ready to get off to get Sarah. As we literally stood onto the pitch, the ambulance was full, and I left with this awful dilemma. Do I get back on the ambulance and go with Vicky and leave Sarah alone, or do I go and look after her on the basis that, you know, Vicky's in the ambulance? And, well, if there's a low point in your life, that's it, I think.
It was just chaos. It was absolute chaos, and people were using advertising hoardings as stretchers, and someone said there's people died, and I think if you stood and watched something like that, then it stays with you.
So I decided I would go with Victoria, as the guy in the ambulance could look after everybody, and that sometime later Sarah would end up, you know, being brought to hospital along with all the other casualties.
Ambulances were sent to the stadium, but more than 40 of them remained outside. It had been wrongly reported that the situation inside was crowd unrest, not crushing.
The policeman's come up and asked Cluffy and I to go and make an announcement for the police, and the microphone wasn't working. So we went to where they plays the music and everything, and the announcer went into his room. And as I say, the punters were superb.
You can't really take anything in. You know, you can't take in that there's been fatalities. I don't think it was really until we went upstairs and saw our wives that, you know, it really sunk in that people had died.
Imagine you're sitting watching that on television, and your family's at the game.
I was still a baby myself, 9 years of age, wondering at the time whether we had anyone there that we knew really close and personal. I'm sure everyone was wondering, did they know anyone who was at the game?
Local hospitals were inundated with relatives and friends of the casualties. The stadium's gymnasium had been converted into a temporary mortuary.
We were asked to look at these pictures. And I was so relieved because I couldn't see Sarah. Which is an awful thing to say because you've looked at all these poor people. But you're relieved because you can't see your daughter on there. And I said to the policeman, she's not there. So he just said, look again, love.
Jenny and Trevor Hicks lost both their daughters at Hillsborough. It was British sport's darkest day.